Chips. Hi everyone, here's Bogdan from Ship Studios. We're back today with another tutorial for our Halloween series, and on this one we'll be having a focus on to the rigging of our character and the chicken legs. It's also gonna be a bit about the house, but that won't be much of a hassle. So let's get started. Okay, so here's where we left off, and we already got our stuff textured and some basic lighting going on here. And what we want to do for today is we want to get going with the rig for our character and the chicken legs and also the house in itself. So let me isolate the character first, but right now it's unselectable. So let me just check that really fast. Okay, now we can select our character and let's select all of its parts, and then we want to invert the selection and hide everything. Okay, I actually think we can leave those details out, but we can also make them invisible manually. So let's just do it from here. Okay. Now I want to take the whole character and I want to rotate it around so that it faces us in the front view. Okay, and now let's go to solid view because we don't need a texture for what we'll be doing today. And let's stabilize the witch a bit. Let's drag it to this line here. And usually when you do a rig for a character, you want to make a T-pose for it. It's the pose where the character has its hands stretched right by the shoulder area, but we won't be needing that for today since we'll be having a really simple rig. Now, first of all, I want to apply the modifiers for the face, and I'll do it for... So let's apply the subdivision surface modifier for the face, and then I want to select the face and the coat and press on union, and right now they are part of the same mesh, but if you go to material preview, everything is wrong basically. So that's because we merged two different meshes and the materials don't know what to do. So we want to first apply subdivision for both of them. And then we want to press on union and now it looks just fine. But we have to add again the solidify modifier and we'll be running into some problems right now because the face is not part of the mesh itself, but it's a separate one. And as you can see, when we add the outlines, it gets really ugly. So let's take the amount down to around here. And as you can see, now it works perfectly. If you want, you can play around with the value or maybe make some differentiate, or maybe you can make some other change, or maybe you want to take another look for the witch, but I'll keep it as it is. So do remember to apply the subdivision for both the body and the face before you make the union. So let's go right now to solid again. We want to save and let's go to the animation tab. And we have our witch right here into the front view. So now we want to start the rigging part of the tutorial. So we want to add our first armature. So armatures are like bones, and those bones connect through different parts of your mesh, and then you can manipulate the mesh into some poses. So let's take the bone and make it much smaller. And let's drag it around here. And this will be our main bone. Let me just go here and viewport display and place it in front. And then we want to put it right in the middle of our character. And what we want to do right now is to build up from this bone or separate more bones for our back, our neck, and the head. And I also want to create some for the legs, even though we don't have, well, any legs, but we'll be doing something that looks like the character is moving its knees in each movement. So I want the one right here and one around here for the neck. And this one would be the head. And we can click on this bone and duplicate it and then rotate it, and we are starting to model the bones for our hand. So let's put it here and let's select the top of it and then extend it one time, second, and we'll probably need a third also. So let's parent that one to the middle one and press on keep offset. And we pretty much want to do the same for the legs. So we can actually do one leg and then duplicate it to make the other one. So let's start with the legs. So I duplicate the bone and put it around here, and that would be the knee. And then we want to create another one that reaches through the coat. So somewhere around here, and that would be like the fit. Okay. And let's drag this one to the middle. And we make some more adjustments. Now I want to select those two, duplicate them, and then I want to rotate them on the Z axis and place them right here as the right foot. And now I want to select those two and parent them to the main bone and keep offset. So right now we built the legs for our character, and if you go to the side, you can see that they are placed already into a good spot. But I want to select those two and probably I'll drag them a bit to the back. So somewhere around here. I can drag those handles and I can drag them back a bit. It's really important where you place the bones because when we apply the armature with automatic weights, well, basically Blender will just use the placement for the bones to see how many vertices it will affect. Let's drag the head right into the middle. And I took that bone out to the front because that would be the chest and that would be the neck that I just moved. So let's go with the chest to be more like curved. And now we want to get working on the hand. So let's go to the top view and let's drag the bone and drag all of the bones to the front to around here. And we want to create one from the inside, one up to the elbow, and one would be right here for the hand. So let's say something like that. And this one would be let's select this point and we want to drag it a bit more in. So let's drag it around here. And that's why we wanted to keep the offset. But right now they have kind of weird orientation. So I want to take the bones and make them on to the shape that the hand is created on. You don't have to be perfect since we are working into low polygon, but you don't want stuff to look way too clunky either. Okay, so that's a decent placement. Now let's go to front view and we want to select the whole armature. Now I'm just adjusting some stuff. I'm just making sure everything is right in place. Now we can select our character and our armature and we can parent them with automatic weights. And what Blender basically did, the armature right now controls the body of our witch and we can pose it by moving around the bones. And it's much easier to animate the bones instead of, well, animating a lot of vertices or objects altogether. And what I also want to do is I want to go to pose mode and select just the bone for our wrist. And I want to parent the stuff to the last bone from the hand so that the stuff will follow around whenever the wrist moves. If you try to do that in object mode, it won't work. You have to select the exit bone and then the stuff. And then when you parent, set it to bone. And if you go right here to the bone and you go for deform, you can also check the envelope multiply and it already starts to look really good. So as you can see right now, the stuff is dependent on the wrist and you can control from here how much each change would modify the body in itself. So that's like the radius that the movement will affect. And I want to do this for all of the bones. So I make sure that I'm not deforming too much when I move a knee or the wrist or let's say the elbow. So let me just get that settled and test some stuff around. Okay, now we can unhide the house and the chicken legs and we want to get working on them also. So the house actually won't have a complex rig, it will just be like one bone that controls the movement of the chicken legs. But we'll get to that a bit later. So right now I want to get the selection in the viewport view and I want to make the witch unselectable and we also want to make it invisible. So we want to focus on to the house itself. Let's take those two and actually want to select everything besides the legs. And we'll do the legs first and then come back to the house. So let's unparent those and hide everything else. And now, as we did, we'll start working on the first leg and we'll do the armature for that one. And then we'll just copy the leg since it's much easier like that. But we need the other leg so that we know where we should place the good one. So let's rotate this to the front. So we have a nice starting perspective. Let's drag it here and make sure it's as stable as possible. Okay, we go to front view and let's start building some bones around. So for the chicken feet, I want to place our main bone would be at the bottom around this part and it would be in the middle of the other claws. So I want to build through here to the top and then we'll have to go to the side and move the bones around. So let's go to the side and we want to select all of the bones and drag them to around here. Let's go to the bone and put it in front so that we can see it all the time. Now that's where the bones would be starting and let's start moving them around. This one right here in the middle of those. And we need to move those bones here so that we have a nice connection with the upper part of our chicken leg because we'll be animating those. And there's no problem actually if your bone gets out of the mesh. That's all right. It depends on how much you want to control the vertices on that side. So I want to leave that quite in the middle. So around here. And let's drag that here. Okay, now I want to select this bone and I want to duplicate it, and we'll be doing a separate bone for the back claw. So I'll be dragging this here, and we need, I think 3 parts is enough for this one. And of course we want to parent the small one to the main bone with a keep offset. And right now we want to do pretty much the same for all of the other claws. So I'll just use my powers to speed this up a bit so that it doesn't get boring for you. So now I'm finished up with all of the claws and I parented them to the main bone, and that's actually pretty much the rig that we'll be using for our chicken leg. So let us go to object mode and we want to select our leg and the armature and parent it with automatic weights. And we want right now to go a bit into pose mode and to see if it works properly. So I just want to move some stuff around, and as I did for the witch, I want to set some limits if needed for each of the claws with the envelope multiply. So let me just do that really fast. Okay, now everything's in order, and what we want to do is to take into object mode the whole chicken leg, and we want to duplicate it and put it here right in place with the chicken leg from earlier stages. So let me just fit that in place, rotate it and put it here. I don't know why I didn't place it from the top view previously. It's much easier like that. So we got that settled, and we want to select the old one and delete it. And right now we have 2 working chicken legs that are ready to be animated. So let's call them as they are. Sure, I could call them chicken leg left and right, but no, I want to call them 1 and 2. Or like nothing and 2. So let's unhide the house. And as I said, the house in itself won't be something spectacular. So what we'll be doing for the house is just one main bone that will control the house in itself, and the legs will be parented to that one. So whenever the house moves around, the legs will follow. So right now I want to fit inside the house the legs better so they don't get out whenever we move them. Okay, that looks good. So let's go to front view again, and I want to create another armature bone, and we want to drag it right here, and we want it to be quite as big as the house, or you can make it even a bit bigger, so around this size. So that would be like the center of the house, the center of weight. Let's call this one house. So I want to drag the bone inside of the house to be like in the middle of it. And then I want to make the door as a separate object. And actually, it looks like I had another doorknob that I have to get rid of, the old one that we did at first. So let me just rename those and see if the door works properly. And then I want to parent the door to the entrance to the house, and then the house itself the armature, the bone. And right now we have a house total, I called it. And then I parented the chicken legs to the house total as a bone. And right now, if I select the big ass bone that you see right here, and I try to move it around, as you can see, everything moves with it. Okay. I'm just testing to see if everything moves properly, and it looks like it is. Okay, so now the rig looks like it works properly, and we can unhide everything and rename stuff that we may have missed. Also, if you want, you can go to the bone tab for each of the armature and uncheck in front. That's just a matter of what you like better. So yeah, that is it. All right. So our rig is done right now. And on to the next tutorial, we'll be starting the animation process. It will be split up in two parts, the main animation and then the secondary animations that we'll be doing. So if you enjoyed it, please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you there. Bye.